What's up, everybody? BigSweetC here with you. Got a new fantastic episode of the Another Gamer Dad podcast. It is episode number 17. I am coming to you in the new year. It is 2026. Happy New Year to y'all. I hope you had a very safe and very happy, very fun, happy holiday new year. Happy holiday new year. Happy holiday new year. Happy holiday new year. For myself, it's been a pretty slow start. Again, my wife is pregnant with twins. We're on the verge. We're at the very tail end of everything now. We've got about 4, maybe 5 weeks left of pregnancy before the twins pop out. So, we've been kind of taking it easy. A lot of doctors visits, but for New Year's, in the last few days, we have gotten to relax a little bit. One of our favorite board games, Ticket to Ride, has been turned into a video game, and so we picked that up with all the DLC, with all the board game expansions on PlayStation. We've been playing that a lot lately. It's a great game. You just you have matching colors to build trains to connect cities, and not the most complicated game in the world, but it is fun, and it can be tough. We play with we play with a couple of computer players on hard, and like I said, we've been trying out all the DLC, all the additional maps that it comes with. Normally, we just play the USA map, but we've been trying out Asia. We've been trying out Japan. Japan's kind of cool. It's got a bullet train, which is actually a very interesting idea. You can claim the bullet trains, but everybody shares said pathway. Very different way of thinking, very different way of playing that game, and it's been fun to play that with her. Because we both enjoy the board game, but because it's in the video game form, it makes it a lot easier. We can kind of have Christopher, our 3-year-old, kind of hang out on the side with us as he plays on his tablet, and we don't have to worry about missing pieces, him grabbing pieces, him throwing stuff off the board, and we don't have to worry about the cleanup and stuff. It's very quick because the computer does it all for us. So it's been fun to play that. We were able to watch the Stranger Things season 5, the series finale of Stranger Things. I actually thought it was pretty good. I've seen a lot of complaints about it, how it doesn't tie up a whole lot of loose ends, which is true. There's a lot of stuff that it didn't do, but the truth is, I wasn't a big fan of season 4. I kind of saw it starting to taper away at the end of season 3. So I'm actually kind of glad they just kind of slimmed it down and followed the KISS method, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. They just kind of followed the script where it started, kind of ended in that same kind of general direction, and I wasn't really that disappointed in it. For the most part, I thought it was a very good season 5. I don't want to say very good because I didn't think the show was all that great after about season 2. But I think they did a fairly good job of kind of wrapping it up and just kind of, again, kind of focusing on really what matters. And that's dealing with Vecna and the Upside Down and all that stuff. So, I was satisfied with it. We did get caught up on Fallout Season 2. I'll get into that a little bit later. That's going to be our cinema segment for today. But I do have one New Year's resolution, because it is that time to get back into that thing. Everybody's got one, at least one. At least you should. If you think you're a perfect individual, you're probably the most imperfect individual in the entire world. So, my one New Year's resolution, and I'm only picking one because, again, we're about to have twins. We're gonna have 3 little ones running around, and I already have trouble handling just the one. So 3 little boys is going to be a handful, and it's going to be interesting to see how it goes, because my New Year's resolution is to get back in the gym. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, it wasn't very long ago. It was a few years ago. I used to go to the gym 4 or 5 times a week. When my brother and I were living together in Michigan, we would work out 4 times a week with him. And then I would do my own stuff. I would either go for a run, or I'd do some like sit-ups and calisthenics and all that kind of stuff 1 day a week. just to kind of keep in shape, like I used to be a pretty big guy, I was an athlete. So, going to the gym and working out was, what was part of, my normal routine. and, uh, and I like going to the gym. I'm not going to lie. Like I like the feeling, maybe not during the workout, but after the workout, I like how I feel. I like the fact that like I'm sore, but I know that soreness is going to grow into something better. And so, I would like to get back into the gym. I have no idea when or how I'm going to fit it into my daily schedule just yet. Um, and I'm assuredly not going to be able to go 4 or 5 times a week, probably, most likely. So, it'll be maybe a couple of days a week, until we get some more free time with the kids. But I want to get in. I want to go at least twice a week, and whether that's early in the morning, which I prefer, or late at night, which I'd rather not. I always like getting up and going to the gym. That's how I like to start my day, because I feel like the making your bed thing. You feel some sort of accomplishment, but I also I have the day to recover from the gym, and like I can feel that burn. I can feel those muscles working. I can feel the blood flowing, and it just I was just more productive during the day, if I got up and I went to the gym beforehand. So, that is my New Year's resolution. I'm hoping it becomes my wife's New Year's resolution. I'm hoping that me going to the gym encourages her to go, and we go together. Because again, we used to go together, on a regular basis, when it was just the two of us. So, um, that was here. Oh, that was out in L.A. actually. I don't think we've ever been to the gym here in Vegas, to be honest with you. But she would go, do the stairmaster or the treadmill or whatever. While I did, well, I like to lift weights. I like to squat. I like to bench press. I like to, I like to, work the legs. I like to work the biceps and the triceps and the chest and stuff. So, I really do like lifting, which, is crazy to say because most people don't, but I do. I genuinely enjoy, the workout of lifting. So, I hope you guys all have some good New Year's resolutions. Maybe it is to quit smoking, maybe cut down on the drinking a little bit. But you should come up with something because everybody can improve in some way, shape, or form. And that's what New Year's resolutions are about: bettering yourself, not just for yourself, but for those around you, those you love, those you hate. And so I hope everybody, completes their New Year's resolution. But we've got a great episode, today. Um, I want to talk about the NFL playoffs. They are all set, and while I realize this will be released after the first week is already over, I'm going to go ahead and make my predictions: who I think is going to make the Super Bowl and who's going to win the Super Bowl this year. And then I want to get into Fallout Season 2, what I think the issue with it is, and how I think they can actually fix it. Because I hope they do. I love Fallout, and I don't want them to shit all over it like they have been. But we're gonna start with, what you guys have all been expecting, and what I have come to realize is one of my favorite things to do every year. That is, my top 5 video games of the previous year. So it'll be, my top 5 of 2025. But as always, we've got to start with the rules and regulations. So, one of the things we did on New Year's Eve, and it took me 9 hours, a little less than 9 hours to do so. But we were able to complete Hollow Knight Silk Song, literally an hour, before the end of the year. So, it does fit into the rules of eligibility because I only have 2 rules. First rule is it's got to be a game I've never played. And so that unfortunately knocked out a lot of the games that we played last year. And it's got to be a game that I start and finish in the same calendar year. And so anything that I started in December of 2024 and finished in 2025 doesn't count. which is unfortunate because we had a victim of that this year. But those are the two rules. Again, it's got to be a game I've never played before, and it's got to be a game that I started and finished in the same calendar year. Speaking of honorable mentions, we do have a few. Final Fantasy VIII was fantastic to finally go in and actually finish. It didn't qualify because I had played it before, even though I didn't finish it. But it was very cool to go in and actually finish Final Fantasy VIII for the first time since I played it 15 years ago or whatever it was when it originally came out. The Until Dawn remake, I had a ton of fun playing that game. But again, it's a remake of a game I've already played along with Wind Waker and Destiny. It was actually a blast getting back into Destiny, and I have to give a major shout out to Scavenger, my wife, for playing along with me, but also to Nico, dude, man. If you hadn't mentioned that it was on sale for $5, we probably never would have played it, and I would have forgotten how great the first Destiny actually was. But two huge games that were honorable mentions that I had a ton of fun playing this year. First one, Grounded 2. It was an excellent follow-up to Grounded, and I had a ton of fun playing with my wife with all the new weapons and all the new armor sets and stuff, and the new environment, the new enemies. But the truth is, it's not a finished game. It's it's going to be released like it was originally, like the first one was originally. They're gonna come out with with more of the game later as they kind of go through the beta session, and so it fell victim to one of those games that I couldn't complete, will not be able to complete in the same calendar year. So Grounded 2 is an honorable mention, and the other one is my mistake. I this up. Octopath Traveler 2 was actually one of my favorite games we played last year. But like an idiot, I wasn't thinking about it, and I started it in December of 2024. And so while I only played a couple of weeks with it of it in December, I still technically started it in 2024, so it doesn't fit the rules of eligibility. But Octopath Traveler 2 was a phenomenal game. That would have definitely been in my top 5 had I not messed it up. But we've had issues like that before. Like Octopath Traveler 2, I was such a fan of the first one that I wanted to get into the second one as soon as possible. And the opportunity came up. I wasn't thinking about Game of the Year. I was just thinking about playing this game. And it's unfortunate because I had a lot of fun playing Octopath Traveler 2. It would have definitely made my top 5 for sure. But that's enough about the honorable mentions. Speaking of said top 5, let's get into it right now, starting with number 5, The Witcher 3. I had never played this game before, and I know everybody loved it. It was Game of the Year. I can't remember exactly when. 2015, maybe? No, that might have been Bloodborne. Somewhere around there. 2015, 2016, 2017. Should have looked into it before I started doing this, but it doesn't matter. Whatever year it came out, it was the Game of the Year that year. I was a fan of the show, not so much anymore now that they've replaced Henry Cavill with Chris Hemsworth. No, Liam Hemsworth. It's the Temu brother. But I absolutely loved The Witcher 3. I'd never played any of the games before. The gameplay was great. The graphics were very good. The voice acting was phenomenal. The story was cool. I haven't read any of the comics. I kind of knew a little bit of what was going on, who these characters were because of the show. But I thought the way that they handled Ciri, I thought the way that they handled Geralt, I thought it was very fun to play, and all Trix and Yennefer and all this stuff. I thought the story was great. We had so many like little side things that were great. The I can't remember his name, but like the governor or whatever, who we find his son is like that, or his daughter is this like little monster, and then that ends up being the elf that we're looking for because he knows where Ciri is. And then that moment when we find Ciri and Geralt thinks she's dead, and she wakes up, and it was just and playing as Ciri was also very fun. Which, kind of, again, I had mentioned this during the review, doesn't really excite me for Witcher 4. Like, I know we're going to play as Ciri and she's going to be kind of the main focus of Witcher 4. But if you're just going to make her a Witcher, then what's the point? Like, she was so fun to play as herself in The Witcher 3 that I hope they don't move too far away from that in The Witcher 4. But the outfits were cool, the armor sets and everything, going and finding. I think we did the cat's outfit, whatever the light armor was. I really enjoyed The Witcher 3 a lot, and I can honestly see why it won Game of the Year that it did. And I'm glad we got to finally play it, so people don't have to ask about it anymore. I'm just kidding. I don't care. I don't care if you ask about games to play. But it was one of those games where, I kind of always had it on my list to play and just never got around to playing it for whatever reason. So finally sitting down and actually playing it, I really appreciated it because it was a very good game. And, I feel bad because I missed out on it. There's actually a few games that I missed out on in the original. Speaking of which, we'll get into number 4, Silent Hill 2 Remastered. I am not a big horror game guy. The to the extent of horror that I play is usually like Until Dawn or the Dark Pictures anthology. I will play Resident Evil, but I don't consider them. I know they're supposed to be horror survival or whatever. I don't really consider them horror games, although they are more horror now than like 1, 2, 3, and 4, in my opinion. I've always kind of thought of those more as just like action adventure games that take place during a zombie apocalypse. And while there were moments of kind of, because a zombie or, or because, like a spider drops down on you or a big ass snake or a nemesis pops out of nowhere. But like I never really considered them horror games. Silent Hill 2, on the other hand, I was freaked out pretty much the entire time I played it. But it was another very story oriented game that happened to have horror aspects to it. But it was a fantastic story about a guy struggling with the loss of his wife. So he goes back to this place that he always promised that he would take his wife back to someday. And as you're going through this story, he's reminiscing on his relationship. He's trying to figure out why his wife, who's dead, sends him this mysterious letter. He meets this young girl there that is weird. He starts meeting all these other people there that are strange. And then he runs into these, I don't even know what to call them, experimental patients, a pair of legs on top of a pair of legs. I don't know what else to say. And then you've got Pyramid Head, who is another great character. And as you go through, you find out, that you're really struggling with the fact that you did what you did to your wife. And I mean, it was just really fun to play. The puzzles were cool. The environment was freaky as all get up. And, like I said, I was, playing with a clenched butthole pretty much the entire way as this story progressed. Again, the puzzles were cool. The action part of it was cool. The weapons that you got, all that kind of stuff was very unique in terms of what I had never played before, really. And again, not to compare it to Resident Evil. I don't think, now that I have played Silent Hill 2, I don't think Silent Hill and Resident Evil are all that similar, to be honest with you, outside of the fact that, like, you shoot dead things. But like I said, I never really considered Resident Evil a horror genre, even though it's in the horror survival genre, whereas Silent Hill 2 was very horror to me. It felt like horror. You go into this nice little town, you have these crazy things jumping out of the fog. There's this fog that blinds your viewing angles and how far you can see away until they're basically right up on you. and then you go into this alternative world that's, I mean, it looks like something straight out of Saw, right? And so that very much was like a horror game to me. And you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that I had played Outlast and Outlast 2, but again, those are not really my type of games. And so for Silent Hill 2 to come out and be on this list is a testament to how good not just the gameplay and the environment, but the story specifically, because that is like one of my number one things is the story good. And this story was very good. And so I'm glad, again, we're glad we played Silent Hill 2, and mad shout out to our friend Imaginator, because he was really the one that kind of encouraged me to get into it. I knew the remaster was coming out. I was kind of interested in it. I was going to have it maybe be like our October game, but you know, I watched him play for a little bit. You know, I heard him talking about the game, not just like playing it as a remaster, but you know, back when he originally played it, when it originally came out, and it really kind of piqued my interest, and I'm glad I played it because it was a very, very good game. And you know, I'm glad I played it now, even if I didn't get a chance to play it back in the day. Number trace is what everybody expected to be the game of the year this year, Expedition 33, Claire Obscure Expedition 33. And for a long time, this actually was my pick for game of the year. When we were going through originally, excuse me, when we were going through originally Act 1, Act 2, I loved that game. I loved it a lot. I loved the fact that they reimagined and reinvigorated the traditional turn-based Japanese RPG, how they added the parry dodge system into the gameplay and the battle system and everything. I loved the characters. I thought Gustav was a great person to play as. I thought Looney was an interesting character. I thought Sael was an interesting character. I thought Mael was a very interesting character, and I was invested in these people. And then at the end of Act 1, when Gustav has his unfortunate event and it replaces it with Verso, now again you're getting me in deep, you know, like I wasn't expecting Gustav to die, even though we have seen main characters killed off in video games before. I wasn't expecting Gustav to die. I wasn't expecting Verso to come in, and then for Verso to come in and be somebody that has been with so many expeditions, right? Like I was seeped into the world. I was seeped into these characters, and I generally wanted them to beat the Paintress and get out of this cycle of disaster that they had been in, doing the Gommage every year for those, and every year their lifespan getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And then Act 3 happened. You know, you defeat the Paintress at the end of Act 2, and then Act 3 starts, and it's all of a sudden everything that you've just did doesn't mean anything anymore. You wake up in the real world, right? The world you are in is not real. It's some painting that people have, that this, you know, aristocratic family has escaped to, so they can avoid the fact that they had a human tragedy happen. And everything that we've done doesn't mean anything. Literally doesn't mean anything, because it's not the real world. It's not the real world. It's not the real world. Everything that really matters is fake. Verso's not a real person. You know, the Looney, not a real person. Sael, not a real person. So these people that I've invested in, that I've spent all this time trying to help and get and you know and make their lives a better experience, none of it matters, because nothing's real. It's all going to go away eventually anyway, and you're just going to be stuck in this same cycle until somebody decides to burn the painting down, which, you know, is obviously the right way to do about it, because these people need to get the fuck out of here. This family, right, needs to get out of there. Verso's family, Mayo's family needs to get out of this painting so they can deal with the actual real fucking world. you know? And it was just disgusting to me that they invested in they get you invested into this world that doesn't mean anything. It's not going to be around. Everything you did is worthless and just a big waste of fucking time. That's exactly what happened in Act 3. That's exactly what fucking happened in Act 3. Nothing is real. Everything is fake. This is all just BS. You just did 60 hours of gameplay for no reason. For no reason. For no reason. They just torched all of it. And then you have this whole third act where Mael just becomes the new paintress, and you have to make a decision whether or not you side with Verso or you side with Mael. Do you keep the painting? Do you burn it all to the ground? And like, what a waste of time! like what a waste of time! Mael goes through this whole game not realizing who she is, and then she wakes up in the real world and she realizes she doesn't like who she is in the real world, so she wants to stay in the fake world, and she just wants to become the new paintress who you just spent all this time trying to destroy. Like, what a waste of time, man. What an absolute waste of time. And so, like, I was so disappointed in the story of this game. While everything else was great, I liked I liked the look of it. I thought the environment was cool. I really enjoyed the gameplay, specifically the Simon boss fight. Like that is, and I said this in another video. The Simon boss fight, I think, is one of the greatest boss fights I've probably ever partaked in. And and again, I appreciate what it did for turn-based RPGs, kind of getting people's interest in them. I hope companies like Square Enix take notice of it. There are certain aspects that I enjoyed a lot, and that's why it's in my top 5. But I can't get away from how shitty this fucking story was. How absolutely fucking terrible this story was. Number 2. We're getting close to the top. Actually, my second favorite game of the year was another game that I missed back in the day, and that's The Elder Scrolls Oblivion. I absolutely loved the remaster. I loved going through the Oblivion gates. I loved learning about who these people were, like Sheogorath, after having played Skyrim. And so to see what Skyrim came from was great to me. The story of Akatosh, the emperor being killed in the beginning, and you having to find this guy who didn't even know that he's like the son of this dude, for him to then knowingly have to become the new emperor, but then realize that it's too late for him and he has to sacrifice himself so he can turn into this fucking dragon and beat this Daedric Lord. Like, everything about this game was fucking great. The way that you got those little like cube things at the end of those orb things at the end of the Oblivion gates, and that's how you were able to enchant your weapons and armor and stuff. I liked the way the game played out. I liked the environment that you were in. You had, the big town, like I keep wanting to call it the Citadel, and I don't know why, because I don't think it was called the Citadel. But you had the city in the middle of the map, and then you have all these like smaller areas spread out through. I think it's Cyrodiil that you're in. But I absolutely loved playing this, and I was, I'm a big Skyrim fan. Those types of RPG games are kind of what I play most now, even though I started RPGs with the traditional turn-based RPGs. But I've been going back through Skyrim to get all the trophies on PlayStation with it. They've actually had some, they did a recent update where they put a lot of the I think it's the Seducer and the Golden Saints stuff. You can now create that in Skyrim, which is cool how they kind of tied that together. But you wake up in this jail cell, and you got to make your way out of the jail cell, and then you run into the Emperor who's fleeing the attack, only to become friends with the Emperor because you give him this pendant, even though you don't technically have to. Even you can't put it on, but I mean, you could have taken it and like sold it, I guess. But and then you get sent on this adventure to find this son that no one knows he has, and then you have to help this guy realize that he's going to be the new emperor, only to then have him come to the conclusion that unfortunately that's just not going to work out. But the blades were cool. The expansion, the Divine Nines, or whatever it was called, where you went and you found all that special like divine armor. I thought it was great. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I had so much fun playing Oblivion, and again, it bums me out that I missed it. But I didn't know anything about the Elder Scrolls when Oblivion was originally released. I was a Fallout guy, sure, but I didn't know anything about the Elder Scrolls until Skyrim, and so being able to play it now with all the quirks and everything that they had in the original, like the Fighters Guild, they have the Mages Guild, but it works like it. I like the way that it works. I actually liked how you did the lockpick. They called it security, not lockpicking, but I like how you did security in Oblivion. I liked the way that you had to do something for the Mages Guild to get into the Mages Guild. Like there was a lot of cool things that I kind of wish they had carried into to Skyrim, but Skyrim was so big. I understand why they kind of slimlined all the side quests. But the Thieves Guild was cool. You get the cowl at the end, and so to see where all this stuff comes from was an absolutely fantastic experience. And the fact that the game was good, the voice acting was good, the quirks from the original were still in it, was absolutely fantastic. Like I really enjoyed the Oblivion gates, and I know a lot of people when we were streaming it said that those were easily the worst parts of the game. I actually enjoyed going through them, and I didn't go through every single one of them. I think I think they said there was like 60 or whatever. I didn't go through every single one of them, but I did go through a nice chunk of them, 20 at least. And every time, at first it kind of seemed tedious, but then you realize that you're not really supposed to just search everything. You know what I mean? Which is different because again, coming from Fallout, coming from Skyrim, it's so easy to just look through everything all the time. But there's really like a time limit basically in the Oblivion gates, because enemies can pop up at any place at any time, which is so different than Skyrim, that it made me appreciate playing that game, because it had a little bit built-in difficulty that you just don't have in the newer games now. And so it was absolutely a blast playing the Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and I'm really glad we did. If it wasn't free on Game Pass, I don't know if I would have played it. And so shout out to Ghost Dave for recommending it. And it was very, very fun. It was very, very fun. Plus the story was good. That is actually what put this one over Expedition 33. But we have come to the grand finale, numero uno, and this was a no-brainer in my opinion. I can't believe this didn't win Game of the Year. I mean, I can, because again, Expedition 33 is basically a pro-trans message meant to make you want to believe that transgenders are not mentally unstable. But again, enough politics about that. But Hollow Knight Silksong was easily, and this was a no-brainer for me. And I know a lot of people can say, oh, recency bias because you just finished it. No, that doesn't even matter. If I would have played this back in January, this would have easily been my number one, because this game was so fun. This game did what every sequel should do. It sticks to the formula of the great original and just expands on it. It didn't try and do too much. It didn't try and be too experimental. It stuck to the script, but just added things that made it better. It had a phenomenal look to it. I love the animation style of it. The cartoony. Cartoony sounds like a bad word, but I love the fact that it was like an animated movie as opposed to the same old Unreal Engine, like all the other games that we play. But I liked the look of Hornet. I liked the look of Farloom. I thought it was just a great area. All the different areas, the sands of Karak, even though they were a pain in the ass to get through, Biowater and the purified ducks, the Hunter's Marsh, Deep Docks, the Morrow, the Citadel, every place had a very unique style to it, and they were all encompassed with very unique enemies that fit that specific area. I know some of them crossed over into connected areas, but for the most part, the enemies in Sands of Karak were in the Sands of Karak. The enemies that were in the Blasted Steppes were in the Blasted Steppes. The Wormways, the Moss Motto, or whatever it was called. And then even the Citadel is broken up into pieces. You have the core chamber, you have the high halls, you have the coral chamber, you have the whispering vaults, the white ward. Like, everything about this game was so unique and so very detailed in its obsession with detail, if that makes sense. The gameplay was phenomenal. I had some quirks with it. The hitboxes, I think, are terrible, but that was part of the game design. You could tell that they did that on purpose, which is a bummer, because they were not good all the time. But that's part of the challenge. Everything else made it better. And those terrible hitboxes, being able to beat some of the hardest bosses, Lost Lace, Scar Singer, Carmeletta, the Crusty One, right? The Crawfather. All of that made the game feel like you've accomplished something, being able to get away from these technical difficulties and still conquer these bosses. It was just absolutely breathtaking to look at. So much different than everything else on this list. But again, everything had its purpose. Everything had its own distinct style, own distinct enemies. Even Hornet, the ability to have the different crests, the fact that they brought in a new type of tool that you could use to attack the enemy with, was just absolutely brilliant in every way, shape, or form. The story itself was phenomenal. Again, KISS method. I mentioned this earlier. Keep it simple, stupid. Silksong was, this is your character. This is Hornet. You already know who she is because you were introduced to her in the original, but we're just going to kind of give her a little backstory. She's being brought in this cage into Farloom. You find out that she was an original, like born of this offspring, that she was meant to be, like a queen of this area, but she was forced out because this deity, Grandmother Silk, comes in and starts terrorizing the world, controls everything with her silk, and you are the only one that can stop this silk from corrupting your mind, and you can bring freedom to this town that you have no connection to, but you feel bad because you see what has become of your lineage in this world. And the different crests, the new tools, most of the blue tools, most of the yellow tools were garbage, but most of the blue tools were great. But even the boss fights were some of the best boss fights in a 2D platformer I've ever played. I had mentioned this in the review of Silk Song that I would wake up the next morning, even though I was so mad at how frustrated I was with Lost Lace, that I'd wake up the next morning and I'd realize, hey, that was actually one of the best boss fights ever, because it was so hard and I was still able to conquer it. That's how I felt with pretty much every boss in that game. There were multiple bosses like the Last Judge where I would go into it, I would give it a couple of goes, and I'd realize that, well, I got to find another way around, and then I can come back when I'm stronger. And so that kind of game, that Metroidvania type style, where there are multiple ways to play through it, and there are very unique places to go and enemies to fight, was just absolutely excellent in every way, shape, or form. And I know it won action adventure game of the year, but this was easily the best game of the year. Like I don't know if it got a bad rap because it was a sequel. I really think it was the pretentiousness of Expedition 33 that hurt Silk Song. But in every way, shape, or form, Silk Song was very easily the best game of this year, and at least in my opinion. Now there's a few that I didn't get to experience. I didn't get to try Donkey Kong Bonanza. I heard really good things about that one. But of all the games that I played, like it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. Like Hollow Knight Silk Song was even better than I expected it to be. And I mean, we've been waiting for this sequel for 7 years. And when you hear that, a DLC is getting, expanded into a full-fledged sequel, you can kind of be pessimistic a little bit, because what are you going to do with the DLC? How are you going to make this DLC into its own game? But this is a sequel, but it's its own game. Like you can obviously see where Team Cherry has improved in its storytelling, has improved in its game design, has improved in its way of thinking between Hollow Knight and Silk Song. And it was such a fun experience, and it was such a pleasant surprise how much better this game was compared to what I was expecting it to be. I was expecting it to be good. I was not expecting it to be excellent. One of the best games I've played in a long time, and it was just everything it should have been, after having to wait 7 years to see it to come to fruition. I'm sorry to Team Cherry that all you were given was best action adventure game, because you had the best look of this year. It was so different, so unique, so it stood out so much outside of that Unreal Engine that every other game on the market uses. And so, the music was phenomenal. The music was such a key, integral part of the game, that I just feel bad that it didn't do better at the Game Awards, because, and I don't even know why. The Game Awards are worthless. Like, but yeah. Before I ramble on for another hour and a half, Hollow Knight Silk Song, hands down my favorite game of this year. Hands down, my game of the year. Top one of 2025, not top 5 of 2025. It was Hollow Knight Silk Song, and then it was like everybody else down at the bottom. And I'm really glad we got to play it and finish it, because I would have really been bummed had we not finished it on time, and I would have had to put it in the honorable mention category. That would have been absolutely awful. All right, now it is time for all you sports fans. I know what you guys really, really wanted to hear, and that is who I think is going to win the Super Bowl this year. I'm not going to lie. I'm not that interested. I'm not as interested in the NFL playoffs this year, because the Lions ended up not making it. But it is what it is. But without further ado, we will get into said NFL playoff predictions right now. The 2-1 seeds with the byes, so they won't be playing this week, are the Broncos from the AFC. But we'll start in the NFC. Number 3, Philadelphia Eagles. Number 6, San Francisco 49ers at number 3, Philadelphia Eagles. The number 5, Los Angeles Rams at the number 4, Carolina Panthers. And then the number 7, Green Bay Packers at the number 2, Chicago Bears, who my Lions beat in Week 18. Anyway, okay, so top down, here we go. The Panthers, they won their division. That's why they're in the playoffs. They finished 8-9. Nobody in that division had a winning record. Everybody was below 500. And so it's easy to just dismiss the Panthers. I think the Rams are too good. And I don't think the NFC South was any good, to be honest with you. To have a team, have an entire division with a losing record, and then on top of that, a quarterback and a coach to have zero playoff experience. I think hosting the Rams, who a lot of people picked to win the NFC West and make it to the Super Bowl this year, I think it's just too much to handle. So we're going to go with the Los Angeles Rams in that one. The 49ers at the Eagles. The Eagles have been kind of playing like shit. I know they rested their players Week 18. That's one of the reasons why they took the loss to the Washington Commanders. But I honestly, I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles have been all that great this year. I think they've benefited from a slightly easier schedule. But the 49ers have the best player in football, at least the best player still left in the playoffs, in Christian McCaffrey. Brock Purdy is playing very, very well right now. And even though they're missing key members of the defense, they have been able to, outside of the last week against the Seahawks, who have the best defense in football, they have been able to put up points. That is one thing that the Eagles have kind of struggled with as of late. They don't put up a ton of points anymore. And while I think they're rested, I just don't think they have the same run game as they did when they won the Super Bowl last year. And I don't think their defense is as good. It's going to be tough to stop Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Brock Purdy. If they can't put up 30, 35 points, I think it's going to be tough for them to win, which is why I'm actually picking the 49ers to upset the Eagles in the first round. Finally, we're at, Packers at Bears. They split the season. They both won at home. Packers won in Green Bay. Chicago won in Chicago. But the Packers have not been the same team without Micah Parsons on defense. I think Ben Johnson knows that he needs to really get his team amped up because they came out flat against the Lions. Now they were able to kind of rebound and tie that game up in the second half. But not being able to go down and win in that game at the end, I think kind of lit a fire under Ben Johnson's booty hole. I think he's going to have the team a little bit more prepared. And like I said, the Packers defense has not been the same since Micah Parsons went down. And so I'm actually going to pick the Bears because they're at home mostly. The Bears to beat the Packers. In the AFC first round, it's in this case it's been pretty top heavy in the AFC. I don't think it's nearly as tough as the NFC, and so on this side of the field, I'm going to pretty much go with playoff experience. We have a couple of coaches. Mike Vrabel won a Super Bowl as a player. Sean Payton, Mike Tomlin, they've won as coaches. Aaron Rodgers has won as a player, and that's really about it. I know Jim Harbaugh of the Chargers. He's made it to a Super Bowl when he was the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. But in my experience, it's about experience in the playoffs and knowing what it takes to win, which is why I'm going with the Steelers over the Texans in the first round. In the Jacksonville hosting the Buffalo Bills, I like Josh Allen a lot. I think he's a very talented player. I don't think the rest of the team is very good, to be honest with you. They don't have any standout players. I know James Cook can have a good day, but I think that Jacksonville defense stymies the run, forces Josh Allen to throw the ball a lot, and I don't think that bodes well for the Buffalo Bills. Even though I do like Josh Allen, I think he's one of the better players in the NFL. In this case, I'm going with the Jaguars because Trevor Lawrence has been playing out of his mind. Liam Cohen won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay as an offensive coordinator. So he knows what he's got to do in the playoffs. And while Buffalo has won playoff games before, I don't think Sean McDermott is a very good coach. And like I said, I just don't think anybody outside of Josh Allen, and for the most part, James Cook, I think, is a good player. I don't think he's a great player. I think the Jaguars are going to win that game simply because Trevor Lawrence is playing so well right now. That defense is very good, even though I know in the middle of the season it kind of fell off a little bit. But Liam Cohen, again, I think he's a good offensive-minded coach. I think he's a good play caller, and he's won a Super Bowl, so he knows he's got that experience and what it's like playing in the playoffs and what kind of decisions to make and when. So I'm going to give it to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Kind of along the same lines. I know Jim Harbaugh has made it to a Super Bowl as a head coach, and I know Justin Herbert has won one playoff game in his career. But right now, Drake May is up for MVP. He's probably going to finish second behind Matthew Stafford. He's playing out of his mind right now. Mike Vrabel has that defense rocking. And again, Mike Vrabel has won as a player, so he knows what it takes to win a Super Bowl. And so I'm going with the Patriots in that one. In the divisional round, we've got the 49ers at the Seahawks, the Rams at the Bears. The Seahawks defense is the best defense in the NFL. And they were able to hold the 49ers to just 3 points in Week 18 to win not just the NFC West, but the number 1 seed. They host them again this week. As much as I like Christian McCaffrey, and again, he is the best player still left in the playoffs, I just don't think he's going to be able to do it all by himself. Brock Purdy is playing well, but the truth is the 49ers, their one weakness is their wide receivers. They just don't have anybody that they can go to down the field. I know George Kittle is a good player, but I think the secondary of the Seahawks is going to be able to shut down that passing game, much like they did in Week 18. I do believe that Christian McCaffrey probably gets his yards. He'll probably have 100, 150 all-purpose yards, but I just don't see him scoring a lot of points. Sam Darnold is playing out of his mind right now. He's got one of, if not the best receiver in football, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and a very viable running game. Kenneth Walker is a great pure runner. Zach Charbonnet is a good between the tackles kind of power runner who can catch the ball out of the backfield. I don't think the Seahawks lose this game, especially not at home. When it comes to the Rams at the Bears, I do believe the Bears beat the Packers, but I do not think the Bears beat the Rams. I think the Rams are just a better overall football team. Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback. Sean McVay is a more experienced head coach who's won a Super Bowl. He's been to 2. On the outside, you've got Puka Nacua, who, if Jackson Smith and Jigba is not the best receiver in football, it's probably Puka Nacua. And then on the other side, you have Devontae Adams, who had like 5 million touchdowns this year. And again, nobody's playing better at the quarterback position right now than Matthew Stafford. And their defense is good enough, I think, to stop a not great, but very creative Bears offense. So I'm going with the Rams in this one. On the AFC side, I like the way that the Pittsburgh Steelers have been playing. They've won 3 of the last 4, and I know they kind of shit the bed against a terrible Cleveland team, but Cleveland's got a better defense than anybody in the AFC Well, they have a better pass rusher. I'll say that. They have a better pass rusher than anybody in the AFC playoffs right now. On the flip side, I think Bo Nix is playing well. I don't think he's playing great, but I think he's playing well. They don't really have anybody on the offensive side of the ball that is all that special. Cortland Sutton is okay at receiver. RJ Harvey has been playing better as a rookie running back, but he's not like a standout. So I just don't think they have enough offense to really push the Steelers. In points. And the Steelers, like I said, have actually scored a lot more. I went back and looked at their season. They've scored a lot more points than I thought they did. Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers when he wants to be. They've got a good run game, good enough running game. And I know the Broncos defense is good, and they feast on the run. But I think in this case, I think Aaron Rodgers finds a way to get it done. And I'm going to give it up to that playoff experience. Again, Mike Tomlin's won a Super Bowl. Sean Payton has won a Super Bowl. But I think the experience of Aaron Rodgers beats the lack of experience for Bo Nix in that game. And I've got the Steelers going to the AFC Championship. Patriots Jaguars. I think this actually is probably going to be the best game of the AFC playoffs, if not all the playoffs altogether. I think this is a great matchup, and I think both teams have experience. Mike Vrabel having won a Super Bowl as a player, Liam Cohen having won a Super Bowl as an offensive coordinator in Tampa. You've got Trevor Lawrence, who's playing really good. You've got Drake May, who's playing out of his mind. But I think the defenses are going to be what wins this game because it's going to be in New England. I think it's very hard to go into New England in the middle of January and win. And so I think, even though I think this is going to be probably the hardest game to pick, I think we've got the Patriots going to the AFC Championship. In the conference finals, we have the Rams at Seahawks. The Rams should have won both games against the Seahawks, which, had the Rams won that game in Seattle, which they probably should have. They had the lead most of the game. Seattle comes back and ties it up at the end of the game, at the end of the fourth. The Rams go down and then score a touchdown, but they couldn't stop the Seahawks from not only matching that touchdown, but then also winning the game with a 2-point conversion. I don't think Sean McVay lets that happen again. And again, that game was played without Devontae Adams, who missed the last 3 games of the season, and so I think it's a different game with Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua both playing. I think the Seahawks offense. I don't think they can keep up, even though they did. Like I said, they had a 16-point deficit that they had to make up in the second half, and I just don't see Sean McVay making that mistake again. So I think the Rams, who were probably the best team in the NFC most of the season, I think they proved that in the NFC Championship. And they make their way to a second Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford, a third Super Bowl for Sean McVay, and oddly enough, a first Super Bowl for Devontae Adams, which is crazy to say that. In the AFC, you've got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the New England Patriots. Now, unlike the Broncos-Steelers game, where the lack of experience with Bo Nix, I think, is what kills them, I don't think that's going to be as big a difference. I've seen what it's like in the middle and the end of January in New England, which is, it can be that way in Denver as well, in the Mile High City. But there's just something about Gillette Stadium in January, playoff football, it's hard to beat the Patriots. There's a reason, that Tom Brady went to 9 Super Bowls when he was there. It's hard to beat them in February in Gillette Stadium. And so while I think Aaron Rodgers has a pretty good day, I just think the Patriots are a better football team, and I think they're better coached. I like Mike Tomlin. Again, he has won a Super Bowl, but you just have too many things going with the Patriots, specifically with their shutdown corner Christian Gonzalez. He's a big guy. Like, people don't realize, because he's a lockdown corner, everybody thinks that he's just like a Darrelle Revis type, but he's not. He's a big dude, and so you match him up with DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf doesn't have that size speed advantage against Christian Gonzalez that he does everybody else, specifically Patrick Surtain II, who he'll go up against, most assuredly go up against in Denver. And so I think the defense matches up better with the Patriots against the Steelers than the Broncos with the Steelers. And that offense is just cooking right now. I mean, Drake May, again, is probably number two in MVP voting. He just threw for 5 touchdowns, which is amazing to me. And he's only getting better. And their offense has playmakers. Tre'Veon Henderson. You've got Stephon Diggs, who, while he's not very consistent, can have those games where he breaks out. Kayshon Boutte is a player that can make plays downfield. Ramondre Stevenson is also another viable running back. As long as he holds on to the ball, he's a very good player. And so I just think that defense is going to win this one, and I think the Patriots have a better defensive matchup than the Steelers do. And so I'm picking the Patriots to win the AFC. And what would be a third game of the Patriots and Rams, the Patriots are 2-0 against the Rams. Tom Brady was the quarterback of both those teams. They were able to beat the greatest show on turf, Kurt Warner, and the high-flying St. Louis Rams at the time. And then they beat the Rams a few years ago. Sean McVay, Jared Goff, Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley had like 20 touchdowns that season, and the Patriots held him to, I think, 3 points. I think it was 13-3. And it was basically like a late touchdown drive by Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski that won that game. But I think it's different now. In this case, I don't think the Patriots have enough offensive firepower, because again, nobody's playing the quarterback position better than Matthew Stafford right now, and the Patriots do not have a Puka Nacua or a Devontae Adams on the outside for Drake May to throw him to. I think Kyron Williams and Blake Corum are as good, at the very least as good as Ramondre Stevenson and Tre'Veon Henderson. And the Rams defense is good enough, I think. Sean McVay has really turned them around. And while I think the Patriots have the better defensive player, I don't know if they have a overall better defense. In this case, I'm going with the more experience than the less. Mike Vrabel has a Super Bowl trophy. Drake May does not. Whereas Sean McVay has a Super Bowl trophy and Matthew Stafford have a Super Bowl trophy. I think the Los Angeles Rams are going to win their second Super Bowl in the Sean McVay era. And I think Matthew Stafford finally gets his due. I think Matthew Stafford is going to be the MVP of the game. And I think it's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be a good Super Bowl this year. But the Rams are going to be your Super Bowl champions. And Matthew Stafford is going to be the Super Bowl MVP. He's also going to win a league MVP, which now puts him in Hall of Fame status, in my opinion. And quite possibly, he's probably not up there with Joe Montana or Tom Brady or Peyton Manning as the greatest of all time. But had he not been drafted by the Detroit Lions, had he gone to a better team in his early part of the years, or maybe if the Lions had a little bit more success with Matthew Stafford, maybe we are talking about GOAT status for Matthew Stafford. But I do think this, if he wins another Super Bowl and he wins a Super Bowl MVP and an MVP, I think we're putting him up at least with Aaron Rodgers in terms of maybe the top 5 quarterbacks of all time. Nothing would make me happier for Matthew Stafford. He's always been a good dude. I've always liked him. I've always wished him well ever since we drafted him back in 2009? And it'd be a good way to end your career if you go out on top. Do the old John Elway. But that's who I've got. Let me know who you have in the comment section below. All right, as we come to a close here, I've got one more segment for you. I know we're running a little bit longer because my wife and I decided to watch Fallout Season 2, at least the first 3 episodes, a little bit earlier. I had mentioned before that we were probably going to wait until the season had finished, but we watched it early, and it really started making me think of some things because, to be honest with you, I wasn't a huge fan of Season 1, and while I was excited for Season 2, I think a lot of that excitement has kind of fallen to the wayside. There's one moment in particular, I think it's episode 2, when we're with Hank McLean, right, Lucy's father, the former Vault Tech employee who apparently is now, spoiler alert, sided with Robert House, but he's in the Vault Tech lab, and he's changing out of his power armor suit into a business attire, and he goes to put his Pip-Boy on, and you watch him put it on his right arm. And the first thing that I thought of is, like, why is he putting it on his right arm? It goes on your left. Everybody else has it on their left arm. But he put it on his right arm when he was getting ready, and then it cuts to him walking down the hall, and it's just on his left arm. That made me realize that the people that create this show don't really give a shit. You pay what's called a script supervisor. You pay them a ton of money. They are a union position, and a lot of them end up going down the director path. So you pay this person a ton of money to make sure stuff like this doesn't happen, and they let it happen anyway. It makes me realize that the creators of the show and the people that work on the show don't really give a shit, and it shows a lot, because the show hasn't been great. It's got some good stuff. Walton Goggins, again, is phenomenal as the Ghoul, and he is really the only interesting character in the show, but he also seems to be the only one that seems to care. He's the only one that seems to take this stuff seriously, and and at least he's honest about the fact that he doesn't play the games, right? Like he wants to bring his own feel to the Ghoul. He doesn't want to be influenced by any of the outside stuff, and so that kind of honesty, that kind of that kind of actor's instinct, I think, is boding well. And again, he seems to be the only one that really cares. He seems to be the only one that really cares, and it shows, because again, he's the only interesting character in the show, and his storyline is the only one that has any kind of excitement going on. So I do, I had a lot of hope for this one because New Vegas is my favorite game. Now, the one thing that I am disappointed with Walton Goggins is he keeps calling it Las Vegas. It's not Las Vegas. It's New Vegas. He makes mention that he was there maybe 20 years back, I think is what his line is. And so if he was there 20 years ago, he should know that it's not Las Vegas anymore, that it's New Vegas. So the fact that he keeps calling it Las Vegas, I think, is, one, because he doesn't play the games, but 2, because the writers and the creators of the show, again, don't give a shit. And so, it's kind of disheartening seeing all this. But I will say, I do think there is potential still in this show. And so what I want to do is I want to offer a couple of fixes in case anybody that works on that show ends up hearing this. First and foremost, you got to fire your gaming expert. The gaming expert's terrible. It's clear as day that the gaming expert hasn't played the game at all, because they don't ever seem to go, oh hey, no, you know, this is how the factions are. The factions are a complete joke in this show. The fact that they had to put a title card to tell you who Kaiser's Legion was and who the NCR were tells you all you need to know. It tells you that they're not taking this seriously, and they have no intention of taking these people seriously. And the gaming expert should be able to explain to them who these factions are without needing to tell us that we're about to watch the Kaiser's Legion or the NCR. And so, you know, you need to fire your gaming expert. Whoever your gaming expert is about as expert in these games as I am in Egyptian hieroglyphics. You know, like they're just not good, and they're stealing money from you. They're stealing money from you. But they also need to stop with this ensemble cast. There's a reason Fallout is not like Skyrim, where you can choose, you know, to be an Argonian or to be a Nord or to be, you know, or to be a dark elf or a high elf or a you know, or a red guard or whatever. You know, it's not meant to be told from multiple angles. It is meant to be told from the Vault Dweller going through these experiences. And so they need to get away from this ensemble cast. The Brotherhood is not very interesting. The fact that there are these religious zealots, and then you have Maximus, who's a fucking horrendous actor. I mean, he is so bad at acting. Matter of fact, pretty much everybody on the show has been a terrible actor. They decided to get Kamal Punjabi or whatever the fuck his name is, from Marvel's The Eternals. I don't know whose dick he sucked to have a career in Hollywood, but he's one of the worst actors I've ever seen in my life, and that's no joke. He's horrendous. I've seen him do a stand-up live, and his stand-up wasn't funny, so I don't know why you would think that he would be a good actor. Like, he's terrible. He's terrible. I'm glad they killed him off after 2 episodes or whatever, episode and a half. So they need to get away from this ensemble cast. They need to focus on, if they want to separate themselves, differentiate themselves from the game, they need to focus on the ghoul and have Lucy be the follower, right? Instead of having the Vault Dweller be the main character, and then have the ghoul as the follower. Make the ghoul the lead character and Lucy as the follower. But that is the only interesting storyline they have going on. I don't give a shit if the Brotherhood hates each other. I don't give a shit if Kaiser's Legion hates each other. There you go. There's more proof that the creators of the show don't give a shit. You have two different factions doing the exact same shit. They're both having a civil war for whatever reason. And so it actually reminds me of Westworld, right? Who the creator of Westworld is also the creator of Fallout. When Westworld was at its best, it was at its best because even though it had an ensemble cast, all the members were focused on a singular objective, right? You had the AI robots of Westworld were looking to free themselves from this prison of Westworld, and you had the real life human beings trying to navigate the world back to the Westworld, back to the way that it was, right? To continue making money. And so you had a narrow focus, you had a narrow storyline, even though you had a bunch of different characters, which you can still have. You can still have people from the Brotherhood in this story. You can still have people from the Khans and the NCR in this story, but that's not what you should focus on. The focus needs to be on a singular objective, a singular storyline that all adds up in the end. Because the way that it plays out now is you have no idea what you're doing. You're just throwing out a bunch of different shit, hoping that people will enjoy it because you're using names like Maxin or Harkins, or you're throwing out factions like the NCR and Kaiser's Legion, and you don't seem to have a focus. You don't seem to know where you're going, and that doesn't bode well, because you're gonna bore people before it gets to anywhere. You know what I mean? And so you have to streamline it. Going back to, we were talking about Stranger Things earlier. Stranger Things got better at the end because it went away from its large, broad belief, story, back to just its simple mainline D&D type story. And so Fallout can really benefit from this, because you have this very interesting backstory with the ghoul who knows Robert House. He knows Lucy's father. He knows what Vault-Tec did, and he's got a singular goal in mind. Whereas Maximus from the Brotherhood is this just confused, terrible retard. You have the Kaiser's Legion. They don't even know who Kaiser is. It's two small armies just defending each other on a stupid little hill. Like they treat factions. They treat the factions like such a joke in this show that it should offend people that are fans of the game. And they clearly they just don't take this shit seriously, and they need to. If you don't take it seriously, no one will take it seriously. If the creators of the show don't take it seriously, the audience won't take it seriously, and they'll just get bored with it over time. But I do still think there's potential in this show if they start taking it seriously, and if they, and I keep bringing it up, the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Pick a side, right? Tell a story. Don't try and tell 15 stories at the same time, because you're not going to get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seasons doing that. If you've got so little interest in all this different stuff going on, then you're not gonna retain the viewership long enough to play any of this stuff out. And so you have to start slimming it down, and you got to do it fast. Maybe that's why they treated the factions the way they did. I still think that they're going to have this whole thing with the Brotherhood, which is ridiculous, because the Brotherhood's not even really in New Vegas. but maybe that's why they treated the cons the way they did. Maybe that's why they treated Kaiser's Legion and NCR like they did. They just threw them in there so they could say, hey, these guys are in there, but now they're not. And they're going to kind of streamline the focus to like a main central focus. And I hope so. I think there's supposed to be like 8 or 9 episodes of the season. They're 3 in. It hasn't been very good, but I'm holding out hope simply for the fact that Walton Goggins has been so good in his role. But yeah, that's going to wrap up another little long one. Hope it's not too bad. But thank you guys so much for joining me again this year. Again, let me know what your top 5 was in the comments below. If there was, if you disagree with me on some of them, say Expedition 33 and its terrible story, or Silk Song being above and beyond everything else. Let me know who you think is going to win the Super Bowl. Hugh, I know you got to be excited that I picked the Steelers to go as far as I did. Do you have a New Year's resolution? If so, what is it? And what do you think of Fallout Season 2 so far? Am I just missing the mark here? Is this show better than I want to believe it is? Let me know what you guys have to think in what you guys are thinking in the comment section below. If there's anything that comes up that you would like me to talk about, comment that below as well. And if you've made it this far, do me one favor: hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, so you know I do drop a new video or go live. And let's kick off 2026 with a bang, baby. Let's hit the ground running. Let's have some fun this year. Let's get excited and let's enjoy ourselves. Either way, that's going to do it for this one. BigSweetC, that's me. Wishing YouTube, that's you. Wonderful day, night, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it might be. Long as you're watching, I'm wishing you a wonderful watching time. Sweetness. Signing off. Peace.